Hi students, this is Mrs. Smith. I just wanted to figure out how to talk to y'all and show you some pieces at the same time. I know you're frustrated with this writing assignment, and I don't want you to be frustrated, but I understand where that's coming from. So I wanted to just go over with you a couple of things that may be helpful while you are looking at your writing lessons. This is a writing program that we found that we are going to implement next year throughout the entire year. We started you on lesson one, and we are going to work through it in the pace that's necessary. Meaning, the assignment last week, the two assignments were, well, earlier this week, excuse me, I'll figure it out. The assignments earlier this week were not difficult. They were things you've done before in making an outline. What we did for you this time is we wanted you to make an outline with what are called keywords. And keyword outlining is a term used by the Institute for Excellence in Writing. It's made in Oklahoma. It's a classical discipline that is based on the progymnasmata. And while that means nothing to you, about 6 months ago it meant nothing to me. It's a new writing program that is actually probably the oldest writing program in Western literature. It is it's the way that the philosophers taught in Greece, and it is the best way to improve your writing and your rhetoric. The whole idea is that you know how to write an essay. You even know how to write a persuasive essay. The problem is they don't always persuade. Sorry, I had a thing pop up on the screen. They don't always persuade. They might be functionally correct. But what has to happen now is we have to take functionally correct and turn it into something that actually convinces someone of your opinion. I think if we were to think back to the speeches that we did following the unit where we studied the speeches and the rhetorical devices with Martin Luther King Jr. and who else was it, FDR, that we need to know what made them effective communicators. And we have to figure out how to get that into our writing, because those men never spoke off the cuff. They prepared their rhetoric, and they prepared it in ways that would catch the ear of the audience. The same thing with Frederick Douglass that we looked at last year. These men were effective speakers, not just because you enjoyed listening to them, but they actually brought you to their side. That's the entire goal. You can have a factually correct paper, and you may not convince anyone. A lot of people would argue that this was the difference between the two Republican candidates this last term for election for president, that Donald Trump, terrible with the facts, but a pretty effective communicator. The other side, I mean, hello, we're still talking about him every day, every moment of the day, it seems, right? Whether you agree or not, right? The other side was Ted Cruz, our local senator. Ted Cruz has all the facts. Ted Cruz is a Harvard trained lawyer. He has all of the pieces in place, and yet, and I do think quite often he's a very effective communicator, but he left behind the elements that Donald Trump picked up, which were elements of entertainment and shock value, things that just are not a part of the rhetoric of Ted Cruz. Is that why he lost? I don't know. I'm just pointing out differences in speakers can bring differences in audience reaction. And one way to help you improve your rhetoric is to take you through a set like this, which is what this is based on, which is classical rhetoric through structure and style, and walk you through what I can do to improve once I have the facts in place. So when you're looking at your assignment today, you were asked to take the brief outline that you created, and we even gave you an outline on the back side of the page today for lesson 3. And you were to take that into complete sentences. But just because you have complete sentences doesn't mean your summary paragraph of the heedless man at the gates is effective rhetoric. The way to bring it towards effective rhetoric is to add in a variance of the way you open your sentences. We don't want subject, verb, subject, verb, subject, verb every time. We don't want prepositional phrase beginning of the sentence, prepositional phrase beginning of the sentence every single time. If we don't have a variety of sentences, long ones, short ones, ones that emphasize what we need to emphasize at the moment, then we're not being effective. So learning how to implement and stick in these individual pieces of sentence openers, of dress ups, of using combinations of adjectives and not just saying it was a very bad day, right? Getting rid of boring adjectives, getting rid of thing and stuff and good and bad, like we always talk about. But how do we do that? We do that through these types of dress ups, through these types of requirements into a very short essay. Now, some of you will be tempted to make this a very long essay. This is about being concise. And when you are concise in the detail, you can flourish the beauty of it. And I know that sounds weird and maybe backwards, but if you look at it, if I were to have you just summarize the entirety of, let's see which one I have here, of, the one we never finished. Maybe you could summarize it pretty quick. This is My Antonia. What if I had you summarize beginning to end this entire book? That would be pretty boring, full of facts, but pretty boring. If I were to ask you to summarize your favorite paragraph in here and tell me what you love about it, it gives you a lot more space to express yourself instead of being lost in all the details. So we want you to improve how you make something beautiful. I think it kind of goes along with what we talk about with classical literature, that it's about truth, beauty, and goodness. And if we have the truth and we don't have beauty, where are we at? If we have goodness, but we don't have truth, that doesn't work either. Mr. Karras has given several lectures about this